Hey guys, Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. Today I got a really cute little notepad cover. I get these little writing tablets at the Dollar Tree. Sometimes I can find them, sometimes I can't. But they're 3.5 by 5 inch. They're glue bound at the top, but they separate out into 5 little notepads. They're 35 sheets, so they're not super thick when you separate them apart. But like I said, I find them sometimes at the Dollar Tree, but I've given you all the measurements. 35 sheets, 3.5 by 5, in case you're looking for something to substitute and you can't find them at your Dollar Tree. All right, so we've got our little notepad here, and we're gonna make this adorable cover for it. Well, I shouldn't say adorable, it's pretty, isn't it? A friend like you brings me happiness. Then inside it says sending thanks and much love. And we've got our little tablet. All right, let's see here. This is Card Club for Cool People. If you are a November subscriber, this is the coordinating project. I always try to do coordinating project with the materials that you'll have left after you make your cards. So after you make your cards, you're gonna have plenty of the designer series paper. You're gonna have the Dazzle, and you've also got the gold dazzle, so that'll be something for different. The leftover gems and the extra natural ribbons. So this is the project to use up your extras, or the coordinating project if you're online only. Bookmark this, print off the project sheet, and add it to your Card Club for Cool People PDF. Let's get started. Our cover is basic beige, and it is 5.25 by 8 7/8. We're gonna go ahead and score this on the 8 7/8 inch side. Got my Simply Score tool here, and we're gonna pop it in and score at 3.5, 3 3/4, 7 3/8, and 7 5/8. That is our little wrapper, our cover. Let me get a bone folder and we'll work these scores with the bone folder. Ooh, that was a good one. I don't always stop to explain why I do this, but I always fold inside out before I fold right side in, because sometimes the cardstock will crack, the fibers will separate. So since it actually did on this one, I thought I'd show you that. What I'll usually do is inside out and then right side in, and that way the fold on the outside is as smooth as possible, and any cracking or the fibers stretching, there's a pretty good view of it. That happens on the inside then, if you do it inside out and then right side in. It's happens sometimes, the fibers will separate or the paper will crack when it's dry. And so just a little tip, and it was perfect to give you that tip today because my notebook actually did crack on the inside, but that's okay. That's the inside of our notepad, and the outside folds are nice and smooth. All right, so we've got our little wrapper. Now you'll notice that we have kind of a decorative edge along the flap. We're gonna do that decorative edge using the largest rectangle die from the Deckled Rectangle die set. This is a really big one. It's the cutout itself is about 3 13/16 by 5 1/8, which is gonna be just a little bit short for cutting the edge of our notepad, but this decal will still make a very nice finished edge. Now, if you've got like a pair of decal scissors, or if you've got a different edge die, the little cloud edge from Bright Skies, or we had those beautiful borders set that just retired not too long ago, the basic borders dies. You can do this little treatment with any edge die that you have, or any other large shape. So maybe a postage edge or something here might work too. So I'm going to just tape this down because I want it to stay nice and straight. And then I'm going to cut just the tiniest little bite off of the fold over flap. All right. so there is our die cutting, and we're going to carefully remove the tape. I didn't want it to be uphill or downhill, and you'll see that it leaves little tabs because the die is just a little bit shorter than the notepad, and that's okay. We're just going to grab some scissors here and snip that off, and we'll follow that kind of decal pattern by making a little bit of a wiggle cut to remove that. So now we've got a fun deckled edge on our fold over flap. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the birch embossing folder, and we're going to add some texture. Now, by the magic of television, I have the large panel already done. We're going to do the large panel and the small flap with the birch folder, and then ink it for some fun contrast. All right, so what I've done is lined up the very edge of the design on the first fold. Then I'm going to put the rest of the notepad through the machine, pop the number 4 on top of that, and then I'm just going to give a little crank and add some texture to that flap. Now we've got a little textured flap there. Let's ink it so that we get that fun high contrast look. I'm inking the birch texture with some gray granite. It's basic beige and then gray granite ink, and it'll give us a really nice birch look. This was one of the fun techniques that we did in Card Club that I think really set our winterly treetops cards apart from anything else that you'll find out there. I hope that you Card Club members loved this card class as much as I love putting it together. And now you've got a fun little notepad cover to coordinate. You can give it as a set of cards with a notepad if you want, maybe make some extras. All right, so there is our cover. Let's grab one of these little notebooks and some tear and tape adhesive, and we can center it right in the cover and get it installed. Now, if you wanted to, you could put a little loop across the back that you could tuck this backer underneath. There's just a little bit of room here. You'd have to be very, very careful with that, or maybe even cut down. So if you want to make it refillable, but since I'm not making it specifically refillable, what I am going to do is just use 2 little strips of tear and tape. I'm not going to go crazy with the glue everywhere, because if this one does run out, it'll be a little bit easier to pull out the old and put in a new. Or if you wanted to add another one of these little thin notebooks right on top of the empty chipboard, you probably could. So there's a couple of options to make this last just a little bit longer if you want to. But the notepad is going to center pretty close between the folds. You have a little bit of room top and bottom. And once you've got that notepad installed, there you go. Let's look at our designer series paper next. Okay, we're using the Nests of Winter designer series paper, and I have a couple of different patterns here. I put them all the right way. Okay, here we go. I have for the outside cover, I have designer series paper 1.5 by 4 3/4, and then 1 by 4.5. Those are for the front cover. For inside accent, just a couple little scraps here. This is 1 by 1.5, and this is 1.5 by 2. And I did the little chicken lips on one end for the inside pieces, both ends for the outside pieces. Then I also have 2 designer series paper circles here. These are 2 3/8 inches, and I just punched them out with the punch. All right, we're going to adhere some of our designer series paper pieces here, and I'm going to use some liquid glue. Okay, so I'm going to start with these longer strips, and I'm going to add them to the cover. This is the best way to use both pretty sides of the designer series paper, don't you think? All right, and then I'm going to take into account when it's closed, where does the flap go over the designer series paper? I want to see as much designer series paper as I can. They're so pretty. And then I'm going to take one of my circles and add some liquid glue just on the very far edge there. And I'm going to line that up high of center and almost to the crease. Then on the inside, we're going to cover the back side with this second circle and add some of these other little pieces. But before we do that, I want to get the sentiment on the front. So let's let that dry for a minute and we'll do some stamping. Slide aside our other designer series paper here. Got a couple of pieces of Very Vanilla already die cut. Got this one. It's the Take-A-Bow die. It's the smallest piece, perfect for sentiments. And what I did was I cut it twice and then I glued them back to back. All right, and then this is from the Deckled Circles dies. These are all Very Vanilla, by the way. And this one is the 2-inch Deckled Circle. Got some Very Vanilla cardstock for stamping our bird and our berries. And so let's go ahead and grab some ink and get some stamping. I've got Memento Tuxedo Black and Lost Lagoon. We're gonna stamp our sentiments with Lost Lagoon. I've got A Friend Like You Brings Me Happiness. We're gonna stamp that one all the way to the left so we have room to trim on the right. And then for the inside, sending thanks and much love. I'm gonna stamp that a little bit high of center so we have room for our little greenery and bow. All right, then our images. Images are going to be colored with Stampin' Blends. So I'm gonna stamp with Tuxedo Black. We need a bird for the outside and then some extra berries. So let me show you how I did that. Here's my bird. And then for the extra berries, I'm going to just ink up the bottom branch here of the other birds from the same set. This is all from the Winterly Treetops. And then I'm going to stamp those berries just off the edge of my cardstock. All right, let's get some Stampin' Blends and color this. Okay, so there's our bird and our extra berries all colored up, and we can die cut now. All right, I want to send through my little pine boughs and my sparkle sprig at the same time. So I'm gonna cut that down and then get these guys lined up. And this one we only need part, so we'll just line it up as such, which will cut down on the fussy cutting, which is kind of nice. You can definitely edit the images. You don't have to use them all and entirely. Next, I'm going to pop a little bit of this glimmer paper and a sprig. And then we have some Lost Lagoon cardstock here, and we're going to get those pine boughs. Now you need 3, so you'll have to make a second pass for this project to get 3 of the little pine boughs if you want to do it exactly like mine. And then there's a little detail on the inside, so you'll want to run a second time with the glimmer paper too to get 2 of those sprigs. So here we've got our 3 pine boughs and 2 sprigs, our bird, and then the berries. Let's go ahead and edit that a little bit. We're just gonna trim off the excess so that all we have is the important bit we needed, those little berries. All right, here's our sample and our cover. I'm gonna get a paper trimmer here and we're gonna cut off the excess for our label. All I'm gonna do here is line up the edge of the label so that we get a nice straight 90-degree angle, and then I'm lining up these corners at the end of the angles on the cutting track and then cutting away the excess. Now we're going to get some of that awesome natural wavy trim. I love this natural wavy trim with this designer series paper and bundle, with the winterly treetops and the nest of winter. Perfect combination. I hope that you enjoyed the little bit of fun and unexpected product in your kit this month. It was really a joy for me to put together, that I got to express my creativity outside the suite for you guys in Card Club. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I've got my trim and I just folded it kind of back and forth, and I'm going to run a little bit of tear and tape around the center to hold it all together. So now you've got a fold of ribbon that's sticky at the center, and you've got a choice here. You can stick it just to the back of your greeting, and that's just fine. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Or you could stick it to the flap and then add the greeting over, but I'm gonna do like this. And then what I'm going to do even furthermore is I'm gonna add a little bit more tear and tape. And then in the very corner, I'm gonna add a dimensional, a mini dimensional, but I'm gonna add a dimensional in the corner right here to hold up the label. We want a lot of adhesive right here. This is the what's gonna hold the whole tab, the whole closure onto the notebook is this adhesive that we're doing right here. All right, so be generous and use a combination of nice strong adhesive like your tear and tape and some dimensional C. So a mini will sit right in that corner and support that corner. Now we can go ahead and add this so that it overlaps our blue circle a little bit and goes all the way up against the right fold on that blunt end and the left fold on our tapered end. Once you've got that, then you're going to go even further and grab some more dimensional adhesive. This is where these wide edges on the minis come in really handy. I'm going to take a nice strip of it, and then I'm going to put it on the fold. Do you see that? Right on the notebook there. And that way I know that I didn't glue my notebook closed. I know that my dimensional adhesive doesn't show anywhere. And there is our cover. Let's grab a Velcro dot. I love these things. I get them on Amazon. I'll give you a link to the one that I order. It's like 6 packages all at once. So it's kind of a bulk price. Sometimes they're available, sometimes they're not. I'm going to check and see which side is the clear side. And I'm going to leave the release paper. On the white side, I'm going to remove the release paper, and I'm going to stick that one right on the end of my tab. And I'm going to burnish that down nice and tight. Then I'm going to remove the liner on the clear side now. So both dots are stuck to the closer there. And I'm going to close my notebook and I'm going to burnish that down gently from the outside. We don't want to cause any damage. All right, then I'm going to lift. And you're going to have to lift carefully here. Don't pull away your designer series paper. Now you have the white side, the furry side here, and the clear side here. So when you open it, it's less obvious because the clear side is looking at you. But burnish that down really good. You don't want either of those to come away from the paper when you open and close the notebook. So now you should be able to close and open without worrying about tearing it off of the project. Now, this first one, I did just one of the labels, and it really is very bendy and twisty. So I do really recommend doubling them up. It was just kind of on a whim that I did it. Very good idea. All right, let's get to the inside here. And we're going to finish this. So as you can see, and we want to make that look nice since you can see it. So let's add some liquid glue to our second. Look at that, too much glue. That's okay, perfect opportunity for sharing the glue. Do you see that? That's something to leave in the video because it's something that we can all learn from. Sometimes it's easy to get a little crazy with the cheese whiz here. All right, so we're gonna glue these back to back. And then we're going to add a little bit of liquid glue on the back of these little banners that we've got going on here. And then we're going to add the banners. Now I like the liquid glue here because I can take these banners, I can drop them down and say, okay, I think that's about where I want them. Now let me get my sentiment. Oh, right side up sentiment and level. But everything here can slide so we can be sure that it's nice and straight. Nothing sticks out funny. Everything's matted, nice, centered. And I think I like that. I like the little use of scraps here to kind of cover up that, make the inside look just as pretty as the outside. While we're on the inside, let's go ahead and grab one of these little pine boughs, swipe a little glue, and we'll add that to the greeting. It's okay if it sticks out a little bit. It'll help cover the berries that are going to stick out on the other side. And then this little glimmery piece, add a little glue, pop that one on there. Don't cover your sentiment. This will help us with the placement of our berries on the outside because we do want to distract from that. See how you can, if you're looking for it, you can see the back side of those berries, but this will distract from that and finish the inside with a little flare. All right, then the last thing I want to do on the inside is grab some of this extra pieces from my wavy trim. All right, so this is a little extra piece from our wavy trim. In Card Club, I'm going to show you how to get 3 different trims from the one spool. You're going to get a wavy trim and a nice like jute twine and this beautiful little braided trim, all from one spool of ribbon. So we're going to really make the best of this wavy trim, which I absolutely adore. So we're going to tie a little bow. And isn't that just the prettiest little trim? You can see it's got a little braided texture to it. Really cool. 3 different ribbon treatments, all from one spool. Okay, cut off the excess on the ends there, and I'm going to roll up a glue dot and put it underneath the knot here. You can use a little liquid glue, especially in that really fine point bottle that we have been using in Card Club. But for this one, I'm going to go ahead and roll up a glue dot. And once it's all rolled nice and tight, I can put it on the back of the knot, and then I can go and add that. Don't cover the greeting, just a little detail holding those sprigs together. Inside's done. Gorgeous, right? Okay, now let's get our bird on the outside. I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of my bird. We're going to keep them up kind of high on the bird because we're going to layer the berries and the boughs and the other sprig behind. So we're going to need a little bit of room to tuck those elements in. I like to tuck the elements in behind so I can add my bird and see. Each one might be just a little bit different, but I can see where I need to fill some space, like above the sentiment. Then I can grab a little bit of liquid glue and add a pine branch behind my bird. A little more liquid glue. And I can add a glittery sprig behind that pine branch. And here, if you want to trim it down a little bit, if it's hanging too far off the fold for you, you can go ahead and trim it down a little bit. I had to trim this one down just a little bit to tuck it because of how I had the adhesive behind there. So don't feel like you can't give it a little haircut if you need to. A little bit of liquid glue on the stem of my berries. I'm gonna bring those in to kind of fill the scene over here. And a little bit of liquid glue on my sprigs. Uh-oh, I counted wrong. We need 4 of these. It's a good thing I made 2 on the last pass instead of just 1. 4 little pine boughs. I had 3 on the outside and 1, I forgot about the one on the inside, I guess. So cut 4 of those. All right, let's get this little pine bough behind everything to fill some of that space with some gorgeous texture. Love it. Everyone's going to have its own unique little characteristics, and that's all right. Depending on how the little elements come together, I'm going to add some dimensional. Make sure it doesn't go past the blue circle, because when you open that up, you don't want to see the dimensional adhesive hanging off the blue circle. There we go. That's our notepad cover. Now, it's not complete without a little bit of sparkle, and you're going to have plenty of extra of these earth tones gems, and we're really using just the earth tone ones. So these beautiful garden green ones will be great for your Christmas projects. Let's get, I don't know, this time maybe we'll go with the copper clay, and I'm going to put 3 of them up and then 2 of them to accent the sentiment. I'm really being rather generous with these gems, but I love the neutral sparkle that it brings. There you go. A friend like you brings me happiness. All right, you guys, if you've got any questions about the project, if you've got questions about Card Club for Cool People, if there's anything I can do to help you stay crafty, you can email Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. And to shop Stampin' Up! 24/7, buzz over to marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.